the current meeting to the big screen. Do the slides when we get there.
Oh, I know you're pointing me to go.
It said start webinar on the screen you dragged over. Is the webinar started? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we are live.
So on this screen, can we see the meeting? Oh, it's. Yeah, usually we see the meeting here until we put up a slide. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. It is August 11th. I'm happy to call the Board of Directors meeting to order for Newberg School District 29J. Let's start with the pledge. All right. At this time, we can review the agenda. Does anyone have any additions or deletions for tonight? No, seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Did everyone have a moment to review the consent agenda? We have a donation to offer gratitude for. The Kiwanis Club of Newberg donated $350 to the Migrant Summer School Program. Thank you for that. There's also a handful of new teachers joining our district. Welcome. We are so excited to have you. And for the teachers that are leaving us, thank you for your service. Also in the consent agenda are those two really important policies. One, IKF, is our graduation requirement. So we are happy to move that along for Principal Brown so that he can start the year.
Move that the Newberg Dundee Public School Board of Directors approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? Okay. Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, at this time we have public forum. Do we have anybody requesting to speak tonight? I do not believe so. All right. So we have a lot of presentations tonight, and most of them are with you, Dave. So
do we want to touch base on policy KNA, which was the speaker limit? Our current policy says 5. We were doing 3. So we're going to put it back through the policy committee to have a conversation and bring it back to the board to agree upon what the right, whatever limit you want. But that's how we're going to, we got kind of 2 things there, our practice and then what's actually written in the policy. And so we'll fix that and bring it back.
I remember this discussion before. I think 5 was, yes, the policy like max, but when we first came on, there's always a lot of speakers, right? And so we reduced it down to 3, or they already had done it before we joined. And so we just kept it to that 3 minutes because of that. So yeah. I'm okay that, I don't know if necessarily it needs to go back to a policy committee. I think it's just, if that's our max, we can keep the max. And if we ever feel we need to procedurally change it to reduce it because there's so many people, then we'll give fair warning on the next meeting, right?
Yeah, so the policy, and we'll bring it back to you, but the policy basically says it's 5 minutes. And then it says you can reduce if there is a need to reduce it in the meeting. But I think if we're going to do 3 every meeting or 4, we should probably just decide on what we want it to be. And then you can still increase or decrease at the moment, depending upon where
Like
you're
we had
at.
like 30 people waiting or something.
Right. You have all of that. You definitely have all that ability. It just seems weird that because it doesn't say the max. Well, I don't know. It may. I have to go. I mean, we'll bring it forward.
Yeah.
I think that's all
Yeah, it
right.
was actually 2 minutes when we started and we bumped it up to 3.
All right. Work session locations, Dave.
Okay. We had a conversation in board leadership about this. We didn't have a ton of parents come out to these sessions, but it was fun to get out to the schools. And I think I can do a better job interacting with the principal around engaging the PTA and parents. And so we put together this proposal. Mabel Rush did not go last year, so they're kind of first up. Mountain View did not go last year, so we've got them in this. Antonia Crater, we did a student of the month, but it was December. It was December, and we didn't have that second meeting, so they really haven't had a chance to present. So we added them in, and then we started back through the 10 schools again. Is kind of what we have out in front of you. What totally a draft. If we want to change it, we can, but we wanted to get something in front of you so I can start letting principals know, hey, Mabel Rush on September 29th, here's what we're working on.
I was going to also mention we did skip Joan Austin last year. We were supposed to, and then we ended up having to move it here because of the budget committee. So
Yeah, I thought we'd maybe talked about finding a way to go back out there
Okay.
if possible.
I'm starting to repeat on February 23rd. So I mean, I could boot the high school really easily and throw Joanne Austin in there.
I would honestly, I mean, once we get every school has their opportunity from this last year to the school year, I would actually question, is it worth it to actually go back out? I'm okay for it, but it seems like there's a lot of setup. Either the principal is moving around the library or whoever. It's usually one, maybe two people trying to arrange that, and then tech going out there setting up everything. I think Catalyst was our biggest show, honestly, of the schools that we did actually go to, right? Except for when it was a child or a teacher that they were presenting to us as a staff or student of the school, right? And so I don't know. I would just question: is it keep allow the rest of the schools that didn't have a chance to do it again this year? But I don't know. I'd maybe come back and like suggest that we maybe not do that. I don't know what the impact is. It just seems like there's a lot of impact for no gain, or little gain. So
I had similar questions when we spoke about it. I asked about the impact on our district staff here, and Dave communicated that he thought it was kind of 6 one, half dozen another. Either way, we're setting up something.
Either way, we're setting up something. And whether it's out in the school or whether it's here, I'm less worried about the impact to staff and more worried about and more wanting, it's not a very good sentence, the opportunity for principals to talk about and staff to kind of talk about what's going well and what it's challenging. That's really the thing. And then again, like I said, I'm not sure we can do a better job of trying to engage parents and get some more interaction there. If you want that, I think I'm less worried about the setup. It is easier here. No argument. Like coming in and setting up is easier, but I'm less worried about that and more worried about what information are you getting and are you getting the engagement that you want with staff and schools?
I do appreciate getting to go out. I understand like a bit of the redundancy potentially at a certain point. I think having it in practice is good so that next time new members come on, it's already set up to go and visit schools and actually be there, because it wasn't until I didn't do a good enough job on my own time to go visit all of these places where it was nice to have it scheduled to go and to see the buildings, to interact with those places. So I think that there's a lot of value in having it as something that we do, but I also get, once maybe we get to the end of this for our current board, if maybe it's not going, we're not getting a huge groups at any school, maybe once we get to the end of it, we say, we decide if that's something that's worthwhile. But I don't know, I think the value is there for the future.
I agree. I think the value is there. I like the idea of having it just be a precedent of this is something that we do, we being Newberg. I think there's also, I feel a difference in hearing from principals and teachers when they are in their own space. I think there's some extra joy and power in that. And I think that they deserve our efforts of going to see them in their space. So I'm happy to continue it, but I'm also happy to entertain the conversation after we roll through the ones we didn't get to last year if we need to do that. So.
I'd also say there's a chance that maybe once this is more of a regular thing, parents might be more aware. There might be better ideas of how to structure that from the schools. If it's not just a one-off thing, I don't know if that is the case, but it'd be interesting to get opinions of building administrators to see how that's working. I don't know if that's something that we have already, Dave, or not.
We might get more. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No answer needed right now.
Okay.
Curious about that
Yep.
thing.
I was gonna say we might, especially if we're now that we've done it for a little bit, we might start getting more as we start talking about restructuring and especially the inevitable discussions around potentially closing a school. I think, obviously there's a lot of pride, a lot of strong feelings around that, and we may have more parents wanting to show up at those as that word starts coming out there and that momentum builds as we talk about that and engage the community. So this could be a good way to continue to do that. And like it was originally intended when we first started talking about doing this, making it a little bit more accessible to maybe parents in that area, not having to come here. Maybe they can walk to their local school or something. So I still see some value, but I think we can at least revisit it if we're still not getting any, any interest in it after we've made the whole round. So.
Another thing that we discussed was making a solid effort to engage the parent groups a little bit more in preparation for the meeting at their school. See if we can drum up some interest. Okay.
So I'll rework this slightly. I'll put it in the next board meeting. We can take action on it. I'll let principals kind of know. And what I kind of heard is the first couple for sure, and then we can kind of evaluate as we're moving along.
Okay. Committee.
District Restructuring Committee. So I want to spend a little bit of time going through kind of how we see this coming together. And so I'm going to take a little bit of time. I shared with you this presentation too, just so that you, I'll talk it through, but I want to make sure that you also have the words in front of you. You want to give me a boost? So the reality that we're managing here, this is not news to anyone here. We cut $5.7 million from the budget. We raised class size at the elementary level to 24.5. And the biggest part of the math problem here is that 4 of our 6 elementaries now have 2 or fewer teachers per grade level. And this creates a specific problem for us. And what it is at a grade level in 4 of our schools, when you get to 30, we now have a tough decision to make. We're either going to leave 1 teacher in that grade level, and now your class size is 30, or you're going to add a teacher, and now your class size is 15 and 15. And so because of this small cohort problem, 4 of our schools, either the class size is in the 30s or it's down near the lower 20s. And this creates a specific inefficiency. Like we're either putting in more staff than we need or we don't have enough. I think the idea here is that we've made the $5.7 million cut. We have a number of FTE that we're using to teach classes with. The question now is, how are we going to use that FTE more efficiently? And so the purpose of this work is to make the district more sustainable. We do that by solving the math problem surrounding having 6 schools and 4 of them having small cohorts in grade levels. This committee's job is to look at the math around this and then figure out how we can be more efficient with our resources so that, and even out that class size. So we're not in the 30s or in the low 20s. We're all in the 24s, 22s. I don't know what's possible once we get rolling with this, but that's the purpose of what this committee's doing. The structure this time around is we've been through quite a bit. And I'll explain how we're going to put together the committee, but we've already done a lot of work around specifically like, does boundaries solve this problem? It does not. So that, I mean, that's been very, that's been researched by our committee quite a bit. So we're going to need to look at some different options. When we went out for the levy, some of those options are closing schools. We're going to have to look at those options. The idea that I'm using for this committee is basically we're going to bring to this committee, we're going to bring some options. We're going to bring the math. The committee's going to review and provide feedback. I'm going to grab that feedback. I'll bring that to the board to present to them so you have some information about these different options. If the committee comes up with some options, we'll do our best to analyze those too. There's not as many options here as, I mean, we've already been through a lot of different options, but we'll weigh them as best we can. And then it's going to come back to the board in some options for a vote. And that's kind of the way I'm envisioning how this thing's going to work. So we'll review the district staffing and enrollment reality and the class size challenge that comes with it. We'll study reconfiguration options developed by the district. We'll provide feedback on each option, weighing against the guiding criteria, identify some strengths, identify the trade-offs and the concerns. There's no model here that will not have significant concerns. All of them will create challenges in our district. Suggest new ideas to grow out of the options studied so that the strongest set can be presented to the board. These are the same ones we developed last time around. Student learning and opportunity, that's important for us. Probably our first consideration, but not our only consideration, because class size balance and financial sustainability has to be one of the big goals here, which is we are still struggling to be efficient and effective with our money. But what I mean by that is our amount of staffing and where we're staffed at, we need to be more efficient. And by being more efficient, we can save money and build that ending fund balance that we need to build. Neighborhood integrity, safety and transportation, access and belonging. Those are all the kind of values that we developed last time to analyze these problems. We're looking this time around. Last time we had two parents, two staff members, and a principal on a team. I'm looking to expand this time. So we went back to, I had principals there checking with the two parents and the two staff members that were on the committee last year. There's a bunch of knowledge in those folks that we want to make sure exist on this committee. And then we're expanding it by two parents and two, because we do need more folks involved. I think the other thing that I'm planning on would be to live stream these so that folks in the community who want to hear and see the conversation that's happening, there's a way to get to that. So far, principals are out right now trying to make those contacts and set that up. They're going to reach out to last year's members. They'll recruit a full team, and then we'll get the full rosters. Oop. Principals are already moving on this, developing this. The 3 sessions that I'm envisioning right now. Oop, that's wrong. This is going to be September 3rd. It turns out that the date I picked was the elementary's supply drive. So that's not going to work.
So which date's corrected?
September 3rd, and I'll push this out in a communication to everybody here. So that, I mean, everybody in our community, I'll touch base with Newberg, and I'll touch base with the graphics so that everybody kind of knows what we're doing here. 6 to 8 West Commons, September 3rd, 2 weeks later, September 17th, and 2 weeks later after that is October 1st. If we need more meetings, I'll schedule them. I think that we can get through the work in these meetings, and then there's the communication part of this that needs to happen after that. I'm hoping to present this in October, in the October board meeting, and then do some more feedback before it comes in front of you for a vote. But this is kind of the set of dates. We need to get this nailed down, because of whatever we do is a tremendous amount of work, HR work, teaching and learning. There's new buildings that need to be, there's kids and notice and transportation. There's just a lot of work to be done, which is why I'm kind of pushing this to happen early so we can make a decision. We also have to budget on this. And so we need to know early kind of what we're doing.
Did you say that what's your aim for when it comes to the board for vote?
I plan to bring the options and the feedback to them, and then for the board to take action on one of those options. Is that what you meant?
I just meant, did you have a target date?
I'm thinking the presentation, I'd like to do it in the first board meeting, like the presentation report part of this, like on October, I don't have it on my.
That first one. Yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
The first board meeting in October. I think we need to talk a little bit about maybe some listening sessions for the board to hear folks. I think would be great. And then we bring either in that last meeting in October or the first meeting in November, just kind of depends on what we need, the time we need to do the listening to the community.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you were talking about the listening sessions, I think are going to be good, because when you're talking about live streaming this, you're either getting a really good owl to pick up everybody's voices, or you might have to have some mic stands if people are wanting feedback that you know. There's some technology issues here to live stream and also get the audience to hear what people are asking when you ask for feedback from certain schools. So. And then my other question would be, is there like at least a couple meetings I went to when you were going around all the schools, or are you going to have somebody throwing questions out from the audience if you're doing live streaming? You know, because somebody was on the computer, hey, there's a question here, you know, and I don't care if you do it or not, just probably need to define it and make sure it's, you know, if that's not going to be option, the option is, then we're going to have these listening sessions, and this is where you bring those concerns back, right?
Yeah.
So.
In addition to listening sessions, are we able to do any community surveying or, you know, something to collect folks' feedback who may not be able to attend?
Yeah.
And then kind of related to that, just thinking about accessibility, making sure that we've got all folks in our community who have access to that, maybe some translation or, you know, whatever we need to do to help folks get in the door.
Yeah.
And then for those listening sessions, if we can just triple check with legal and all things on how we can appropriately do it so that it does not incur any complaints. in the event that we're all there for the listening.
Do you, Dave, envision having board members participating in this committee or kind of rotating us through?
You want to give me a click there? I'm going to come to that question
Okay,
exactly. So again, the committee's feedback and rationale, along with the reviewed option, will be brought forward by the superintendent to the school board to consider. So that's kind of the idea. And we just talked about, we need to do some more communication. Board participation. Give me another click there. I seem to be. So this time around, here's what, last time we worked different board members at each meeting, just trying to give everybody a flavor. I think it might be better this time if we have 2 or 3 members who are there every time and then come back with information for the board. That's what I'm thinking right now, but I think that's the way that we should do this. And then I'm open to a conversation on that.
What do we think? Does anyone have any thoughts?
I think initially I like that idea because it creates, I don't know, like my experience in the boundary committees last fall is I attended one and was trying to sort of catch all the details from other people who went. And I wonder if it would create a deeper sense of what's really going on in the community that would help make the decisions that we might possibly make a little bit more transparent here during these public meetings. So I think I agree with you.
I agree. And I'll sign up to be one of those members. So.
And that's my next question, which is 2 or 3. I don't mind. 3 is great. I mean, I think more interaction is better than less. And so I heard Jeremy. Anybody else? Great.
Would this not be something that we talk about when we are deciding committees?
Good call. Yeah.
It seems like it would make sense to do that in. I know the next slide is questions.
Yes, it is.
Can I go beyond just that part?
Yeah, please.
I was just curious if before this happens, if we as a board would find out about the reconfiguration option developed by the district.
Yeah, what my plan right now is to sit down with each of you and give you some more information around that.
Okay.
So that you're all have some expertise in kind of what the numbers look like.
I think one worry that I have that I feel like I heard during the last process was that it felt more like rubber stamping is a little extreme, but just that there were a few options and you're there to decide between what was given rather than maybe more open communication and those ideas being brought forward. So I think it'd be nice to know beforehand what these options are. I don't know. I feel like it would be good for us to know if we as a board would even be willing to do that option if it was you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it would be good to know what that is. And I know that we have this, if new ideas grow out of the options, we can go from there too. It just, there were times when, and I get the reality of it, it just felt like, here's the information that we've given and decided, and it's hard to get that information. So it's also hard to ask for extra different information that then becomes competing and takes up lots of time. That was one of the issues we had. So it would be nice to maybe somehow figure out beforehand some things that might want to be seen from our perspective, having been in those meetings, not, administration side. I'm just trying to think to help those things work more smoothly while also giving participants a real belief that they're there to help find a solution rather than choose between.
So I would say that I've changed. I mean, this committee is about providing feedback to you. So it isn't necessarily about finding new solutions. I'll also tell you that these systems have evolved over 100 years. And so like, if you aren't working in the systems, it's really hard to understand, because we had lots of ideas, but I've got 330 staff and I have to figure out a way that I can take 3,900 students and organize them into classrooms. And there's ways that you do that. It's not that I'm very open to ideas, but there's also some things that work. Changing boundaries, whether or not school consolidation will help us be more efficient in our organization. Those are, those are things that are, that work. It's just that, like, changing of the transportation routes, those are things that we're looking at. Certainly, we're looking at those pieces, but what we're talking about now, after having been through the boundary committee, is really around numbers of students, schools. How do we fix the math problem?
And that makes sense. And I guess I just worry that it being a committee, I think some of the people coming in might think I will have I want to bring ideas. I want to find solutions that maybe no one else has seen. And I know that isn't always helpful, but I think just having that be clear, because I don't know that was as clear last time.
It wasn't.
It was the wild frontier there. So, but just that idea that I don't want these people to come in and then be like, what am I here for?
Right.
I want them to know so that they can be more productive in those moments.
Yep. Other questions?
Yeah, another thread that we've been tossing around through this discussion is, and I think they are separate conversations, right? The restructuring committee is sort of dealing with our current reality and looking at what it's going to take to make that sustainable. I think another piece of this continues to be what ideas might we have to continue to attract folks back to this district, or to attract folks who have never been to this district. And so do you envision this committee sort of holding space for those ideas as well, or do we envision keeping those separate?
So I think the question that you're getting at is really around, like, there is a decision about how do we reorganize our system to be more efficient. And if that involves closing a school, what are we doing with that school? What could we do with that school? Are there other things that would attract students back to the, I think we need to separate those decisions, but it's certainly something that I'm thinking about and that I think we're going to need to think about in our decision-making because of, again, like these assets. I've said it multiple times, but to build a new elementary school is $58 million, 550 student elementary school. And so 20 years from now, if we need one of these schools that we already own, it's going to be a big cost to the district. And so, like, what we do with these assets after is actually really, really important. And so are there other ways of utilizing these? Are there ways to lease them? Definitely something that we're thinking about. I feel like they need to be separate. I'm open to a conversation there. It's just that it's a lot of decisions that need to get made, and it feels like we need to cleanly make the decision about how do we restructure our district to be more efficient. And then we need to start figuring out what are we doing if that involves a school closure.
I think from my perspective, it's not, I think Andy's kind of hitting a little bit, but maybe it's more the broader question of, we can't just have the solution for now. I mean, we want it to solve for now, but we also just can't be so narrow-minded that we're going to have growth no matter what at some point. it's either people attracting or just as Portland keeps getting pushed out, we'll have natural growth. Make sure we're not, putting ourselves in a corner in a way where we've closed 1, 2 schools, whatever the configuration is going to be. And then we're at 90% capacity of the buildings we do have or whatever. And then we have no room for growth. I think we need to be, mindful of that, but I don't think that's necessarily I agree with Dave. I think they overlap a little bit, but not enough to be the same discussion in my mind. So I don't know. I think this will also probably lead I'm assuming this will probably also lead into the long range forecast too, that we still haven't gotten to, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm trying to remember now. I think the last one was done in 2002. As I was leaving the district, we started the long range facility plan process in 2017, 18. And I think it was revived in 2019. So I think we're basically within about a year. It's every 10 years you need to run one. So I think we're within about a year to a year and a half where we need to start into a process around that. So I think my next steps are really to sit down and I'll start. Principals are already working on this. I'll get the information out. We'll start communicating kind of what this is and where it's going. And then next time around, that'll still be before our first meeting. We'll decide on who the 3 board members are. And then we'll start going from there. In the meantime, I do want to run through with you and just meet and talk about some of the early numbers that we're seeing. So you have some deep knowledge about kind of what this looks like. Board and Superintendent Working Agreement. Tonight's the first read of the board and superintendent working agreements. It's a draft, so if you want any changes to it, this is basically the same document that we worked up last year. I think, and we have a new board member coming on. They should be seated before you take action on these, or we could even, it's fine to let it sit. We could do it in the first meeting in September, so that person has more time to work with them. It's important that we have these because they define some of the working agreements we have around just how I need to do my job, what you can expect from me, how you need to do your job, and then how we're going to communicate. The sections are pretty straightforward. Section A is the purpose. Section B is the board responsibilities and your relationship with the superintendent, kind of setting long-term direction, focusing on policy and oversight rather than daily operations. Section C is the role of board leadership, what the chair and vice chair are responsible for. Section D is my role as superintendent, leading daily operations, partnering with you on vision and goals. Section E is meeting operations, starting in on time, come prepared, notify the chair. I think as I think about section E and F are probably the 2 that are probably the most important. One is section E around meeting operations. I should never be surprising you. And I'm hopefully going to get that back from you, which is if you have questions, just email me. I want to come make sure that the right people in the room to answer your question, or I have that answer so that we're not, and again, questions are going to come up on the fly and that's fine. It's just, again, the best that we can do to not surprise each other will make our working relationship better. And then communication norms, assume positive intent, focus on the issues. Things that come into the board email, Aubrey or I will answer that. Usually when it comes in, we'll have a conversation about who's the appropriate person to answer it. And then she will respond for you as a board. I think our goal here is like 36 to 48 hours before we get somebody back an answer. And I think those are the big ones for me. With that, I would kind of open it up to some conversation about if there's changes that you want, if you like parts, don't like parts.
I appreciate this all being written out. I think it's especially helpful, just as we begin another school year and as we onboard a new member in the coming weeks. But I don't have any issue with any of the items. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
I guess I'd ask you as chair if you like the setup of us essentially buzzing in whenever we'd like. I know that certain committees or boards will essentially be called on,
Like buzzing in like this?
yeah, instead of just
yes.
opening up talking, it would be, I'm just curious.
No, I like how we run things. I think we have a fair balance of the formality and the seriousness of what we do, but also I appreciate our first name basis for the most part. And I think everybody, I hope, feels welcome to add their voice to the conversation. And I think I'm fine continuing that if you all are.
Yeah, something I was thinking about because I keep researching more and more about Robert's rules because I've started others, boards now besides this one. And so another thing is too, there's things where actually each topic and some very, I guess, maybe higher profile boards and committees, you only have one chance to make a comment per discussion item. And so I just think, I'm not saying that's a decision maker or anything, just I kind of like the fact that we can kind of go back and forth a little bit, and somebody will play referee if we go back too far, go back and forth too far. But I'm definitely liking the more open concept at this point. So
Yeah, I think that Jeremy, you and Deb, and then Deb and Nancy before, I think we have set a good precedent in listening to each other respectfully, also being mindful of our time and our staff's time and all of that. So I think if we all can, especially commit to section E, I think that helps in terms of interacting respectfully, but I feel good. I think that we continue to get better. And I also think that our organization, especially with what Jackie provides to us, continues to be, more and more organized. And I very much appreciate the efforts that she's putting in there.
I did notice in E it says start and end meetings on time. Do we have a general timeline we're shoot for? I know like our policy committee meetings, we have set like this is 2 hours, this is an hour and a half, but I don't know that we ever had that for this. I'm curious.
Yeah. So again, I tried to shoot for the content to be between 1 and 2 hours. I think after 2 hours, everybody's brain gets, it's hard, but there are just some times like late in the budget season, it's like things happen. But we're trying to, with some scheduling that Jackie's working with me on, to try and spread things out over the year so we can have more balance. So like we're somewhere in that 1 to 2 hour range. That's what I'm shooting for.
A couple of things that I'm looking at, maybe I have missed these, but I don't know if we need to put in here any sort of expectation that board members are working on at least one committee, like that there's this doesn't really get at just board role, but it's the relationship of the board with the superintendent. But I think that all goes together somehow in my mind. So I'll think about that some more. And then the other thing that I'm thinking of Nancy, who was really big on reminding us that boards that spend a certain amount of time talking about students can, be really effective in moving the work of the district forward. And I'm wondering if that's something that we need to put in our section E here on meeting operations and decision making.
Is there not a separate agreement, like a board agreement amongst ourselves that we have on file?
I was
imagining
thinking
that?
the same thing. I'm checking the policies right now, but I agree. I think there's something we already put
Policy
together.
around board.
I'm not sure if it's policy. It might be just more of an agreement, working agreement, but how we, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That is familiar.
So there was an our agreement, there was also evaluation, but there was also our internal agreement between us board members. So there might be in the old July documents from last year.
So I have board goals coming.
Okay.
So that'll be at the next meeting. So I'll bring the superintendent goals and the board goals that will kind of maybe have some of that. But let me go back and take a look.
So if we do have a separate document, is it the sort of desire of the board then to really separate those out and have this document be just sort of board superintendent interactions and then have a separate document that is more focused on just
So
this?
I think that's policy. And I think I'm pretty sure we just went through this policy about what the board member responsibilities are. So why don't I pull that and
Okay.
we can take a look at that.
Maybe that's what I was.
Yeah.
Well, there is something on July 1st meeting last year that talked about board agreements in the header or in the agenda, but I don't see a document that's attached to it.
It'd be this one. Because I
You think
yeah.
it's this one?
I
Okay.
pulled it straight.
Yeah, could be.
So it sounds like my mission here is I'm going to pull that policy and look to see kind of what it says on there. And then if you have some changes that you'd like or some additions, it's fine. I can throw a couple of more bullets in here to specifically around board responsibilities in relationship with the superintendent. We can add to those pieces. I'll check out the board policy and see what it says about kind of the job description part of this, Andy. And then I'll bring that back to the next meeting. We can talk that through.
Great, thank you.
Just one last comment. I really love that we have this set of agreements. I know that not every board does, and I think this speaks a lot to our intention of how we want to work collaboratively, right, with structures in the district. I think that sets a great precedent for our community, and I hope that folks will meet us in that sense of collaborative space.
Okay. Me again.
You again.
This time we're talking about the superintendent evaluation timeline. Like I said, next time around on this timeline, I will take and bring you my superintendent goals, and I'll bring the proposed board goals, kind of similar to what we did last year. On this one, I just want to kind of walk you through. It's the same basic timeline. There's a little bit of awkwardness in this timeline in that, the way this works is right now I'm laying out the district kind of strategic aims, and we're creating the superintendent goals. And then I'm going to report on those goals a couple of times. But the big issue is around my evaluation, which if you're going to, and it's not just me, but as a process, if you're going to notify the superintendent that you're non-renewing them, you need to do that by March 15th. And so in this process, that sits there because of down the road, we don't know where we'll be. And that may be something that a future board needs to do. And then there's kind of the information gathering. I need to report out to you kind of my progress on my goals. There's the surveying that you do between each other, and then you come together to write my eval that happens in May, April, I present my self-eval. In May, we meet again to clarify the summit of a document. It'd be better if it were at the end of the year, but it's just not the way you need to do this with a superintendent. So it's a little bit awkward, but it works. And again, I don't think I've changed a whole lot in this one. Just tried to kind of flag the hit the big points that we had. I feel like the process that you use to, one, gather feedback from each other and then come together to write the document, I thought that worked pretty well. As long as you like that part. Yeah.
There are some technology snafus, but yeah, and I could help lead that if you want me to, and then have somebody sit with me doing it so we can, in case I don't come back next year or whatever. So stuff like that.
So this is the full process. This is the report version of it. The next time we come back, we'll be looking to take action. If you have any thoughts, or I'd take questions right now, or concerns that you see in the timeline.
I do see the optional 360
Yeah.
feedback. It never seems to work out with budget, obviously, with everything that's been going on. I assume that's still the case now.
Yes. And what I would say would be this is, having experienced in Forest Grove, they because of the way in which I came into the district and the way in which they had managed to had to manage their last superintendent, it was very important to that board that there was a 360 done, and it was I can tell you, as a person experiencing the process, it was sometimes like having one every year was a little bit much, but every year I got great feedback. I mean, whether it was positive or constructive, either way, I got good feedback from that process. So I would say, moving forward, it is something that I think that the board should be thinking about. There's a group that does this. They're not cheap, but again, getting feedback from the community about the superintendent, I think, is a really important thing. It's why I included it here, even though I know I don't have that money this year. But I think it's something you should think about moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is year 4 for a few of us, and we've been talking about it since we very first came on. And I appreciate that you have it in there, if not just to make sure that it's in there going forward when it can become an option. I don't know that it's as critical at this juncture, but
Do you want me to get
Really
a price?
I would ask two things, actually, since we're on this topic. One, we used to actually have the very first budget year I remember, we actually had a board budget line item.
Mhm.
And do we still have that? Probably not. I don't care if we do or don't. I just want to know, do we, and what's allocated for us? Because I think at that point that could be cover the cost now. But two, on the flip side, since I'm in technology area, I don't know if going to a consulting firm is necessarily the best way to do it. Yes, they're going to know it. They've done it before, but there may be cheaper options where it could be kind of ran still, what's the right word? Not unanimously. What is that? I can't think of the right word. Private, it's private. You don't know who it is. Anonymously. There we go. So two big words I can't think of. That could still be done that and securely from a data perspective.
Yeah.
It's just I'm assuming there are maybe other options out there than going through some of these firms that have done it in the past. So
Yeah. So what I would say would be this: one, yes, you do have a budget, and yeah, I can get you what we budgeted. Mostly it has to do with travel, and there's not a whole lot of travel, but expenses that the board has as the year goes on. The elections that we have in the spring, we're going to have to pay for those. Those are budgeted in the board budget. So those I can definitely, we can get you a readout of what that looks like. I will say that the one thing that going through the firm does is they completely anonymize this, so that people in the organization do not have to fear that there would be some sort of retribution, because what came through to me, I can get you a sample of what they put through, but it was very much people could speak their truth. And like I said, there were I got both positive and very constructive feedback from it. But there probably is a cheaper way to do that. So we can figure that out. The other one I wonder a little bit about is like the ESD. Is there a way to utilize the ESD to maybe run some of this? So it's outside of our organization, but it's still somebody who they do a lot of different types of strategic planning and some other things that help districts kind of manage that. I'll do a little bit of investigation and get some money on it. Other questions?
The timeline shows that you'll bring your goals next meeting and we're voting on them next meeting. Is that?
No, it'll probably be 9:15. So I'll bring them on the 25th, and then it says here that you would be 9:15 is when you kind of be voting on them.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why we should have time in between those two.
Got it. That's what I thought. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, one more question, because you mentioned the 3/9 date because of contractual. You're not set to expire this year, right?
No,
That's a wrong word. So I mean, my apologies.
should have been
Another Jared's over there. So
No, it's just again part of a system that we're trying to
yes.
solidify. And again, for you as a board, those are some hard dates that you need to. We just need systems. No, I'm not planning on that.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, all good.
At least everybody got a chuckle out of it. So.
All good.
All right. Well, thank you for putting all that together. That is a lot, but it's nice to see the whole year planned out and know what we need to do. You get a break, Dave. Tammy would love to invite you up to talk to us about the academic calendar.
All right, so I don't have anything in front of you. This is just an update that I wanted to provide for folks about the academic calendar. More importantly, this idea of the restoration of instructional time. So as you know, earlier this year, the board approved the academic calendar. The academic calendar reflected 172.5 days. That's a full academic calendar. We have not seen that number since 2024, when we had to make some pretty significant staffing reductions. And as a result, the calendar shrunk to 164.5 days. So here's the good news. The good news is that last year we were able to restore 3 days, which was exciting. And also, as you know, during budget season, we had built in a full restoration of 4 days, which means 4 days are still missing from the calendar. It would be a 168.5 day calendar. So as a result, we are looking to restore 1 additional day this year, so that we have half of those days back. We went from 8 to 4, and this is a gradual approach to restoring instructional time, but we hold 2 truths in our hands, right? One is that we believe wholeheartedly in the importance of instructional time and making sure we have full academic years. And in the other hand, we have a responsibility to get our budget in a place where we feel like we're more stable. So we're trying to hold those 2 truths together at the same time. So I would just want to make sure that you folks know that our goal is always to keep restoring days and instructional time for our students. We know that every day matters for our kids, and we have to balance that with the goal of ensuring that we are financially responsible as a district. So as we move forward, a couple of things. We have been in recent conversations with the NEA leadership. We originally had a memorandum of understanding. They were asking for a restoration of 3 days, and we have been in recent conversations with that group, and we have agreed that we will restore 1 day for this coming academic year. We are moving into some sessions with bargaining with our OSCA group, our classified union, next week, and we will be having similar conversations with our classified group. So no decisions have been made. We do have to collaborate with all of our employees and our employee groups before we can make any kind of movement on the academic calendar. We are super grateful for the strong partnership we have with both groups and their understanding that we continue to hold those two truths in our hands. What isn't changing, especially for our parents and our students in our community, is when we start school. We're still going to start school before Labor Day. That was an overwhelming voice in our community and our staff that they wanted to start before Labor Day because Labor Day landed so late. And we'll still have all of the same holidays, the same breaks, winter breaks and spring breaks. So those things will not change at this point. But what I hope to have is after we have some additional conversations with our classified group next week, I hope to come to the next board meeting with some more information for you guys and potentially a proposal for what our instructional time looks like for this coming year. Any questions?
I do have a couple of questions. Thank you for the update. How does what you presented today and kind of what the discussions with NEA and upcoming with OSEA, how does that square with the governor's executive order around instructional time?
Great question. So this actually meets the requirements for the additional instructional time. And that is because Governor Kotek's executive order, the baseline for instructional days is with the 24-25 school year. And that is the school year where we had 164.5 days. So we are actually restoring. We restored this year. We're restoring another day next year.
Okay, so that's our baseline.
The baseline is the
was the year that we
24-25
had
school
the
year.
most furlough days.
Correct.
I see. Okay. And then I know this is a question that has many variables inputting, but at what point do we think we can get back to a full 172.5 day year? Like how far out do we think that's going to be realistically?
I mean, I think Dave can certainly weigh in on this, but
Next year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we
The
have to
goal.
do. The district restructuring committee going into the budget season, I mean, that's what all of this is about, is we've got to get back to the full school year.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
What's that?
27, 28.
Just for families who may be concerned, do you anticipate any of the furlough days landing in September?
So any adjustments to the calendar are going to be in trimesters 2 and 3 likely. We've already identified some of those dates and it works out very well because trimester 1 is the shortest trimester of all of them. So it really evens out our trimesters to look at trimesters 2 and 3.
And are we able to, once those dates are established, can we engage with our partners at CPRD with CARE and just make sure that families have all the resources they need?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
Any other questions? All right.
thank you.
Thank
Tammy.
you.
Thank you very much. And our last presentation with Jillian about summer school.
Good evening. I am so excited to bring you an update about summer school. We are 2/3 of the way through, and I'm so proud and excited for our students and families to share that we received the Summer Learning Grant for 3 years. So we've got 2 more years of summer learning coming our way. Can you go to the next slide? Thanks, Micaiah. So we received $790,000 from ODE per each summer. So we'll have that every year to spend on our summer learning programs. Last year, we also received a summer learning grant. It was less than this one, but we've had a really long track record with the variety of summer learning that we've already been running with the district. So it was really easy to show the work and the outcomes of those programs that we've had and then be able to expand them. So the goal of the summer learning grant for the next 3 years has some requirements that might be different than the past. So we're focusing on serving all students preschool through 12th grade. And every program that we utilize or make available to our families has to be a minimum of 80 hours, and it must prioritize in-person instruction. There can be some aspects of online learning, but the focus is on in-person instruction. It must have literacy goals that are based in the science of reading. And we can also include math work with that, STEM, science, credit recovery as well. But the focus is really rooted in that literacy learning in the summer. And then our goals for our summer program is that 85% of our students engaging demonstrate growth in their learning. And we also are focusing on enrichment and belonging throughout the programs. So this year's programs, we prioritize students using our winter benchmark data. So we're looking at kids nearly approaching that grade level standard, so kind of our tier 2 kiddos. And the logic there is even if they make benchmark by the end of the year, they're going to be our kiddos that benefit a lot from summer learning because they are striving, and any little bit extra in the summer is going to help with some of the opportunities for them to grow again in the fall. So prioritizing that group of students, focusing on that academic growth in literacy and math that's based on their skill needs. So all of our data is, again, based on our diagnostic assessments that we have in the winter time. And then, again, we run pre and post assessment. So students are really being supported through their individual skill needs. We also look at student belonging and supporting students through our programming. Focusing specifically this year on the 6th grade transition and standing up some middle school programming. And then we're hopefully really excited next year to bring back our Freshman Rising for high school, and then continuing progress towards graduation. So all of our programmings are kind of targeting those big buckets, if you will. The high school this year with Mark and Ashley and Michelle Kim and Ben Patterson served 182. Oh, yes. Could you go to the next slide, Makai? Thanks. I'm so sorry. Thank you. The high school served 182 students in their program and earned or recovered 61.75 credits. So awesome job to the high school and the team there in engaging students and supporting their learning. And then the high school program runs like right after school gets out. So that's the first one to launch and kind of kick off in June. And then our elementary and our federal program that occurs at Edwards, the K-12 program, runs the entire month of July. So that one just wrapped up. And that program served 367 students. It also included our extended school year supports for students that might be experiencing some special needs. And then we also had 21 credits earned in that program. So we've had quite a bit of credit accrual and recovery occurring. In this particular summer learning program, the 8th grade students have initial credit earned. So they'll be entering 9th grade with a couple half credit to 1 credit in either literacy or math as elective credit as well. So gets them boosted for their on track for 9th grade. And then we also have a program that extends beyond the summer learning for Willamette Career Academy. And students go down to Salem and have some opportunities to do some career exploration there as well. And right now we're in the middle of our middle school programs. Both Mountain View and Chehalem Valley are running programs. They are projected to serve 180 students this year. Again, here focusing on transition, so that sixth grade transition and welcome to middle school, having an opportunity to experience the building before all of the students are there. All of the elementary program and the middle school programs have had parent nights and engagement sessions that not only share what's happening in summer learning, but also are an opportunity for parents and family community members to come into our schools and learn about how they can support their students at home. And then also support those eighth graders to get ready for high school readiness when they transition to the middle school in a year. So that's kind of just a brief update of where we're at. I will bring you some more data as the program progresses and wraps up towards the end of this summer. But we had a wide variety of community partners from the library to CPRD. We partnered with TVFNR and Maltese Medical, and every middle schooler in the federal programs that ran at Edwards learned CPR and first aid and how to use an AED. We had swim lessons for our second graders. And again, that Willamette Career Academy. So just can't thank our community partners enough that help make our programs run.
This is a great update. I have a couple questions regarding the goals for the next couple years. Can you go back to that slide, or
Was it?
the very first slide?
Oh, sorry. I'm
Okay.
looking.
So the goal is to serve 800. We had 769 this year. So is that like a minimum or max that we're trying to do? I mean, or is that just straight target what we're trying to hit?
So the goal of 800 is what I proposed in the grant narrative, and it's what ODE based our funding on.
Okay.
So 800 would be our target as
Okay.
a minimum, like
minimum.
the goal of what we're trying to serve.
Okay.
We've communicated with ODE that we do plan to run a freshman rising program next year.
Okay.
So like I have 100% confidence that we're going to knock it out of the park because we nearly met that goal this year without running that one program. So I think we will see our enrollment well over 800 next year.
Great. That's awesome. I guess the one question I had here was, it looks like to me, this is new, or I haven't heard this the last 3 years, but what 85% of students demonstrate growth. How are you doing that with just 80 hours of class?
Yeah. Again, I will go back to the specific skill need, right? So when we're thinking about reading, like we are doing read alouds, but we're thinking about a discrete skill, like maybe it's phonics or blending, or they're focusing on fluency, or maybe it's a specific math standard. So the pre and post assessment is measuring a specific literacy standard, a specific math standard,
Okay.
or in the case of high school, folks accruing credit.
Gotcha. Great. Okay. Thank you.
I was just curious, you talked about focusing on those tier 2 kids. Is that something where you're actually reaching out to those families at that point?
Yes. So I think most all of our programs have made personal phone calls, personal connections, whether it's the counselor, administrator, or one of the coordinators running the program, especially for our students that might be in some of our focal populations. Getting students involved in the programming and supporting families to enroll. We want to make it as easy as possible with as few barriers. Going back to the program itself, we offer the transportation, we offer breakfast, we offer lunch, we offer snack. We had school counselors that are in the buildings at many of the programs supporting belonging or behavioral supports and needs that students might have that arise over the summer. We had outside therapists that were running in one of our schools, a separate program, but provided opportunity and location to do some therapy. And so that is really great. And I would say, yes, I think that it is making a difference, especially for our high school students for On Track.
Absolutely. That's really great to hear.
For our kind of what Jeremy was going back to, the data and measuring the growth, are we able to use any of our like iReady or STAR tools over the summer with these students?
That's exactly what we're using.
Okay.
So for elementary, we did continue with Dibbles because that is the tool that we have right now. And middle school did utilize STAR. And then the high school did the work with credit needs and folks that needed to recover or accrue more credits to focus on that 9th grade On Track. And then, of course, progress towards graduation. So we are definitely utilizing those tools.
Awesome. And then in the fall, hopefully they're fall teachers then have access to that summer data and are able to kind of just jump right in with that accurate data.
Yes, and I think with that tool being becoming K-8 aligned in the future, so
Mhm.
like Dibbles stops, or M-Class Amplifies stop, which is our Dibbles program, stops at 5th grade, and then
Right.
they go to 6th grade, and it's a different tool. So once we've got in our new diagnostic assessments all in place, K-8 that's aligned, potentially in the future, we'll have that data crossover as well. But I think that's maybe one of the parts of the pro system that we have opportunity to improve on is that transition of here's what happened in the summer. How do we share that if it's not already in our data system, so that teachers and staff know what happened over the summer?
Awesome. Thank you. And I hear the talent show was fantastic.
The talent, I didn't mention that, but the Edwards program participated in the talent show at the Old Fashioned Festival, along with doing some ballet folklorico on the cultural stage. So yes, that is definitely a highlight. It's just so great to see their learning in summer out in the community in summer too.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
That's great. I note the timing of this item in our agenda after our discussion about the academic calendar. And so I just want to celebrate the learning gains that are made here. Couple of questions. All of these, Jillian, are just for me trying to understand as well as sort of surface some things for the public. So I totally understand if you can't answer with a high level of detail, but or if it's not appropriate. Back to Jeremy's question about a goal of 800, that's about 20% of our students. Is that right?
Yes.
How does that compare with other summer? That seems high to me. How does that compare with other district summer school programs and their goals?
Yes, well, I can't speak specifically to other districts and the number of students they are serving. When the initial grant numbers came out, the agreements had shown like how much each district got and how much they were proposing to serve. And I would say that ours is on the higher end. But I also think that based on our long history with summer learning, like we already had programs in place. The high school's been doing a credit accrual program at the end of the year and freshman rising in the years where that was possible. The program running at Edwards has been running for 20 to 30 years. So like we already knew we had the number of kids we were currently serving. So being able to expand has not been a huge challenge because we've already had such a great program in place with all the teams working every summer already.
I think it would be interesting to see a breakdown of which schools those 769 students are from. We have an idea from the high school of 182, but I would just be curious to know, and then what we might learn from that. You know,
Sure.
if there's an outsized proportion from a particular school, does that give us some helpful information? What curricula are we using, particularly at the high school for credit recovery, when that says 61.75 credits earned? How are students earning those credits?
Yes, we are using our program. It's called Edgenuity. It is the program that we utilize throughout the course of the school year for credit recovery and supporting students who might need some additional support. And I think that's been at the high school for, 5+ years. And COA, it's the same program that COA utilizes 612.
Okay. So is it fair to say that high school students that are participating in summer school are not sort of working ahead in taking a class in the summer in lieu of doing that during the school year? These are students that have maybe failed and are trying to recover that credit. Is that accurate?
I would say yes, at the high school level, that is accurate. Where it could become different is when we run Freshman Rising, that could be initial credit. And I don't know that would necessarily be Edgenuity. And then also at the Edwards program, the 8th graders are receiving initial credit as kids who have just finished 8th grade going into 9th grade. And so that would be the only other place where we are issuing it as elective credit. So it wouldn't be like initial language arts credit or initial math credit. It's initial elective credit.
Okay.
So in some respect, they are working ahead, sort of. But for the bulk of it, it is credit recovery.
Okay. Okay. Who is teaching? Like, are we hiring our own teachers to teach over the summer, or?
Predominantly, it is almost exclusively our own teachers. I would say our federal programs that ran at Edwards had a couple of folks that were outside teachers, but they may have been like student teachers during the year. So like I would say pretty much everyone involved in the program has been associated with our district throughout the regular school year.
Great. I imagine that's super helpful for having some relationships with students and familiarity with the curricula that we use.
I think it's a key point in engaging our students, especially in our focal populations, to have that support and friendly face.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the class sizes generally, or cohort sizes?
Yeah, so at the elementary level, and I think this is also true for middle schools, we're following our regular class ratio. So about 24-1 in both of those. I know that there was a couple blends this year. You might be familiar with those. And we did have one 5th grade class that was a little bit smaller than that. But I would say for the most part, those class sizes are sitting right around 20 to 24. I think confidently that's pretty much the same that middle school is running this year. I think the high school was a bit smaller. So the program that runs there is a bit smaller in terms of how they utilize our instructional support staff and our licensed staff together, because the focus is on that smaller group instruction. And I would also say part of the goal of the summer learning grant is high dosage tutoring. So while class sizes were a bit larger, not larger, but like a regular class size, we did offer high dosage tutoring where there was small group, whether it was 3-on-1, 4-on-1, or 1-to-1 supports as well.
Okay. Super helpful. I have a few more. I'm assuming that because we're providing the programming that we're still responsible for students who might have an IEP or a 504. Is that right?
Yeah.
So do we have staff that we are paying to provide specially designed instruction for students who need it?
We are not providing specially designed instruction during the course of the school year, but we do have during the course of summer learning, we are not providing specially designed instruction. But all students that are on IEPs or 504s, we have copies of those. And so we are utilizing those documents to support student learning in a whole group setting where students can be successful and utilizing their accommodations that they have documented on those IEPs and 504s. So it's not pull out specially designed instruction, but it is scaffolded instruction with accommodations within the whole group setting. And then we do have several students that participated in the program that did qualify for extended year as well as part of the program.
Okay. Okay. And then last question, you mentioned that we're using our current diagnostic assessments for identifying students. Are there any other identifying criteria or measures that we're using for students to participate?
Sure. So the grant itself does revolve around data and making sure that it's not just a random potluck of who gets to attend. So we do start with the data, but we do also utilize staff feedback and input, particularly as they know the students in their classroom. And then we also have a wait list. So we will, and I'm speaking specifically now about the Edwards program and the middle school programs, we'll invite students, fill as much as we can. And then if there are additional seats available, we do offer a waitlist option. So if someone didn't get an invitation and are interested, we might be able to fill seats that way. The high school is predominantly those students who need credits.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I just can't say enough for our teams out in the buildings. Thank you to our Mountain View and CV teams and the high school team and the federal programs team that ran the program at Edwards. It's really those folks in the buildings that are making all the magic happen. I just get to share about it.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work you did to get the grant secured. It's so wonderful knowing that we have it for the next few summers. We have one action item tonight, the building level student body account signatories by Tammy.
Super exciting. I get to play Nate tonight and present to you the designated student body accounts and the signatories for each building. We have updated these with our some of our most recent hires and any shifts or adjustments made in staff. So any questions?
Just high level. I know some of these names, but like some of the schools I'm not so familiar with. Is it mainly so it's Nate, then the principal, and then is it like the assistant principal or like a secretary that's usually the third designee or?
Yeah, so it is like at the high school, it is the administrators. For Tiger Manufacturing, for example, Patrick Verdun, who is the teacher for Tiger Manufacturing, and Jessica Chaffee, who is the office manager and works directly with the Tiger Manufacturing account. So yes, and assistant principals in some instances, for example, Crater, Jennifer Bass is a school counselor. Brian, and then a secretary. So that's pretty typical with most of the buildings.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I move that the Newberg Dundee Public Schools Board of Directors approve and designate the student body accounts depository signatures for fiscal year 2026-2027 as listed.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
All right. Dave, start us off.
Absolutely. I want to just take a moment tonight. That was a really good speech too. I'll sum it up with, we're very excited about the work ahead. Administrators are prepping for it. And again, man, that's couple of reminders. For this next August 25th, I'm gonna there's some pre-work around those board agreements, and I'll send it out to you ahead of time so you get a look at it. But the superintendent goals and the board goals, and then the agreements, there's going to be some work there. So I just want to just point out that I'll get those out to you early so you can take a look at those. And then we were unable to schedule our candidates for the open seat tonight. So we're shooting right now. We've got the 25th of August. We're going to run a special board meeting. 21st. 21st of August, we'll run the interviews. It'll be a special board meeting, but we'll again live stream it. And we've got packets ready to go out to you with the questions and all of the rest of that. So just a reminder that we are next Friday, right? 20, is that wow. Yeah, it's going fast. That's it for me. Now that I have my mic on.
It was really great to hear about the summer school programs and all the things that have been going on there. On I hope that anyone listening and is interested in that district restructuring committee reaches out to your local schools and becomes a part of that. If you have strong feelings and think that you can be helpful. And yeah, I hope everyone had a great summer. I am excited, as are my kids, to get back in the swing of the school year. So exciting 3 weeks away.
Folks that are watching online can't see that we've got almost our entire district office here tonight. And so I just want to appreciate very much the work that you all are doing. To echo what you said, Dave, about it being a busy time of getting ready for the school year. It means a lot to see you all here, so thank you. I really appreciate the update on summer learning. It's really helpful to get to know that program and how our students continue to engage year round. I am really excited to see what we will do this coming school year. So get your last bits of fun in, while you've got a summer break.
I too want to echo the gratitude for our district team and for all of our administrators who are back at work. As an administrator, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite times of year. It's just a very exciting time of year, and I love the enthusiasm and all the work happening in our buildings, getting ready for our students. My own children just realized that they're going back in August, and while it wasn't the easiest conversation at home, I think they are excited regardless. I have started receiving communication from my kids' schools from my principals. So please, parents, keep your eyes on your inboxes. We have a new communication tool called Parent Square that families can sign up for. You will still receive communication even if you don't have the app, but it does streamline things and make things easier. I know that there are a number of supply drop-off dates, different dates and times for different grade levels. So we need to, as parents, I think, get our heads back in the game of getting all of our schedules aligned. But I know that my family is very excited to get all that information, get your schedule, get your supplies and all that stuff. So parents, please keep an eye on that. And yeah, looking forward to our next meeting next Friday, and looking forward to, hopefully filling Deb's seat with somebody to join this board, join our work.
Yeah, I don't have much. It's been a busy summer. I do appreciate all the administrators, district office coming back in. This is going to be another challenging year, though exciting. Every year is exciting, and so we're just going to rise up like we always do, and show everybody that kids are always first. I guess I don't have any. This is the second year now, no more kids, so I don't have to worry about school lists or anything like that. So I guess I'm going to rub that in your face a little bit. And other than that, yeah, I'm just happy to get going, and yeah, let's get this next meeting and figure out who's going to fill the seat and take off from there. So that's all.
Yeah, I'd like to echo a lot of the same stuff about just grateful for the summer school program and how great that is, all the work that staff has been doing over the summer and even starting now. Also super excited for school to start. I know my daughter is very excited and misses her friends. So, and is already talking every day when we drive by it, telling her little brother that's the school we'll be going back to soon. So, and warning him that she won't be going to daycare with him. So, yeah, super excited and ready to see who's going to be filling the seat and bringing us back to 7. That's it.
Thanks, Aubrey and Andy, for your first meeting of leadership with us. And thanks to district staff who are doing summer programming. A couple of things in terms of Mountain View announcements. So there's parents got a family newsletter on the 10th, which was yesterday. There's some video announcements in there from our 2 new leaders at Mountain View, both the principal, Jessica Renhard, and Dean of Students, which would be Jennifer Schneider. So check out those video announcements in your emails. And yes, looking forward to wrapping up three last busy weekends of summer. To that end, I'm the only board member who won't make the 21st meeting. But and I let Dave know that. And I also really will, support and trust the wisdom of of the teammates and in selecting our next candidate. Okay, I think that's it. And I'm the last board member for the night.
All right. And with that, I think we are ready. I did want to clarify just from the very beginning that we are good to go on the policy IKF, that the honors diploma and everything is ready to rock and roll for the high school. Okay, wonderful. Okay, and with that,
Yeah, you took action on it.
yep, in the consent. Okay. With that, we are adjourned at 7:35. Thank you.